It can be tricky to like set a scene sometimes, and when you're watching all of these huge budget D&D shows that are now slowly popping up due to it getting mainstream, there's all of these well-versed geniuses coming to the forefront like Brellan Lee Mulligan and Matthew Mercer, who are making every single place that the players go into feel alive and real. And not all DMs are super well-versed geniuses that can make everything sound beautiful or terrifying. And when your players are roaming or exploring like ruins, there are plenty of ways that you can go about making like an environment feel rich and expansive without all the fancy words and the hand motions and the theatrics of it all, because you really don't need that much of it. This is coming from me as a person who is a victim of the Matt Mercer effect in terms of in my early DMing career, if you could call it that. I was really trying to emulate a lot of what he did, which was lavish descriptions, very immersive dialogue, and like setting information and stuff like that. And I really think that it's not worth it in the grand scheme of things unless you've been doing it for decades. Who cares? Just say what it is, like it is. So the first is external stimulus, meaning music, pictures, and stuff like that. If you find an image online that you think fits with what environment the players are exploring, makes your job a lot easier. And it's the same with a creature that you don't exactly know how to describe, an NPC that you want to make a quick description of. There are so many images out there of every single thing that you could want to describe, and go out there, find them, and then use them. Either send them to a Discord, show them in your virtual tabletop, or print them out. It's up to you if you want to use pictures for that. And also, music is one of the easiest ways to make someone feel any kind of emotion, since unless you mute it, you're going to experience it. It's kind of difficult, a little bit more difficult to have music going on like in person, at least from my experience, depending on where you're playing and stuff like that. But most of the time you can put music in your games, and I very rarely like don't have music on at this point because I just think it enhances the experience. For recommendations, think of like a video game or a TV series that fits the vibe that you want to emulate, and then search through its soundtrack, find something that you like. Or it's just, hi, I like Brooklyn Nine-Nine. How do I use its soundtrack for this? Oh, let's use it for this comedy investigation bit that I'm going to do. That's fun. Music can actually inform your creative process, and it forces an emotion on someone. If you listen to a sad song and you have at least a tiny bit of empathy, you're going to feel like a little sad. So that can help with environment and stuff like that. If you go for like a spacious area, go for like quieter music with a lot more reverb and stuff like that. There's a lot you can do with it. If you need help looking for it, you can just search a type of music on YouTube and like even specify, I don't want vocals, this is how quiet I want it to be, I only want it to last 2 minutes and stuff like that, and you'll get a lot of material. You can find all sorts of that sort of stuff on YouTube. It's a good search tool, guys. Use YouTube. Speaking of YouTube, actually, are you subscribed? I just have to remind you. And then I also have a Discord that you can join in the description if you want to check that out. God, I hate myself for that. Another way that you can make an environment deep is considering its history and what currently resides there. If there's a like rock, which is those like massive bird things in the area, there could be a huge lack of wildlife that you mention when they initially enter this vast area of hills and plains and stuff like that. And you mention there is no wildlife here, and if it is minuscule. Then it's like, what's doing that? And then it's the big beastie that's in the cave 10 miles from here. Similarly, if there's a pillar in a forest that gives the area life magically, imbued by fey powers, consider adding like elements of bright colours and whimsical encounters and things that just make everything a little more fairy tale-y. Environment is a lot about what's actually there and not describing something like your Brellan Lee Mulligan or Matt Mercer or something like that. It's a lot less of like the lavish descriptions. It's more so, this is what's here, and give the players the room to think of the context themselves. If a place is lived in, so for example, I ran a dungeon a bit ago that was primarily dominated by a Sahuagin population. What facilities or places have they constructed / taken over, and how are they using it all? How used are they? Consider working in some guard shifts, inner conflicts, or prisoners to expand the history and society. So, for example, as they were exploring on the second floor, there was a set of 2 cells. There was a dead person in one, and there was a Sahuagin in the other that wanted to be freed, and they completely ignored it. I think they completely ignored it. Point is, it added to the depth. Additionally, there was also an NPC Kuatoa that wasn't really allied with the Sahuagin, but were using them as kind of like a business thing because he was a traveling trader. And I continued to expand that more with... I just wanted to use some drow, right? And I thought, how can I use drow? And I'm like, well, maybe they were the previous inhabitants. They got screwed over by the Sahuagin, and then the remaining few were like, yeah, let's suck up to them. And let's try and be their mates and then take it over from the inside once they destroy themselves inevitably. So there was some drow in there that was serving in higher places, and therefore they were key figureheads in that area, and they were going to use that to take it down. But that never happened, of course, because the party walked in and fucked everything up. But yeah, that's another thing to consider in building the environment, layered histories and stuff like that. For larger scale settlements, a village, a town, a city, think about the public opinion of key figureheads. Have whispers on the wind guided from commoners mention that the mayor is a tyrannical oppressor, or they mention a previous charity run that they did for the homeless. Just stuff like that. Get them to know their key figureheads, because often a leader will inform its country. And also think about it the other way around. What key figures think of their subjects? What does the mayor think of that cool hero that came in a month ago and killed that basilisk? Do they care? Are they going to reward them, or are they going to ignore it and just let the town give their thanks to them? Add the settlement's primary religions, a simple reason for that religion, and how the population views it. If you're not really sure on religions in your world yet, then make them up as you go. That's what I did. There is so much that you can do to enhance an environment, and all of this advice that I've just piled onto you is just the start of the detail that you can put into all this sort of stuff. And that's the beauty of it. It's your choice how much detail you put into these environments. And you could write down an hour of prep for this one room, and it doesn't really work. And meanwhile, you didn't prep that room, but your improvised description added so much more than anything else that you wrote down would have. The environment's constantly changing based on your whims and what happens in your brain and how ready you were. And thank you for watching. Hopefully this was a little helpful to you. If it was, let me know in the comments, or by hitting the like button and the subscribe button and the bell button and the join the Discord button. There's a lot of buttons you have to hit to show you that show me that you appreciate me, apparently. But thank you for watching. That's the best thing that you could do for me. Just watch the video to the end. It's pretty cool, and thank you for doing that and stuff. I do mean it. I'm not like doing YouTuber speak right now. I do care a little bit. But yeah, thanks, and I'm gonna press the stop recording button in about 5 seconds. 5,